And honestly, at the end of the day, life is about being happy, right?
It's true.
So, in my personal experience, if there isn't art, it'd be a lot harder to be happy, I think.
Yeah, I too struggle with the meaning of life, like most of us. But I think the one thing the common denominator, or the thing to boil down to, is like trying to like mitigate suffering. And the opposite of suffering is obviously like joy. And so it's like anything we're doing that's, same with like other beings, trying not to inflict any sort of suffering on anybody else, or trying to help other people not suffer. Like, that seems like
that's the point of it.
It's the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
We just got so deep.
No, this is the whole point. It's funny.
Where you get,
when
man.
I submitted the first episode with Ian, I did it through this company called Anchor that then submits you to iTunes and all these other ones. They immediately wrote back and they're like, yeah, your podcast got denied. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, the description is pretty vague. It just says that you're going to ask people random questions about life. That's literally what it says. It says, Chaz runs asks random people questions about life. So yeah, we can talk about life and weird crap because it all goes together. That's why I like watching Joe Rogan. Or I told you I've been listening to Dax Shepard recently. Like, yes, he's talking to celebrities and entertainment, but they're mostly talking about their lives, like having kids or the drugs they did when they were in high school or weird stuff like that.
Well, that's much more relatable than just talking about an industry that most people don't work in.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, I think what it is for me, at least, when I say, or when I have an interest in those shows, it's not because the people are famous or necessarily entertainment. It's just that they're successful and or happy. And so I'm then interested to find out how they became that way. Yeah. So I think people look like, I know...
A lot of rosé is my secret.
Yes.
Rosé and
Jana
puppies.
Sleeps till noon.
Yep.
Then immediately gets drunk.
Really get drunk.
That's
it.
Eats a donut or 2 or 5. Yeah. And then goes back to bed. And if she finds time to write...
So be it.
But no, joking aside, I think a lot of people are fascinated about how the process of getting there, and there's not one right way or wrong way to get there. Like, I know I said this at your house the other night. We were talking about genetics and being healthy. I had a friend whose grandfather lived till 98, woke up, smoked a cigarette, took a shot of whiskey, and ate eggs and bacon. That was his routine. So Tim Ferriss on his podcast talks to a lot of like Fortune 500 CEOs about when they wake up and what their whole process is. But there's no right way to get there.
No, like, it's obnoxious because a lot of those people that get up and like go at 6 a.m. and don't stop, like, there's also a certain personality that thrives off that. And so yes, maybe that is why they're so successful, but success looks different to everybody, and maybe not, being number one isn't everyone's ideal success. I mean, I think there's a reason why a lot of super successful people are not to shit on them, but may not be happy because they may not have a balance, so no, I don't get up at 6 every morning and start writing, but I'm obviously, I do work very hard, and that is like the key, is working really hard. But at some point, it's like, when, living in LA, everyone's like, you gotta go to every party, you gotta go to every event. Network. And there's some truth in it, because you do randomly meet people, and then 7 years later, that could turn into like some sort of, partnership that ends up being the thing that breaks you. But I, also it's like, no, that. Staying home and watching Netflix. Yeah. There's this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, who talks about a big game about how he's constantly working all this stuff, but he says, I understand if that's not you. Yeah. Right? Like, you don't, like, Mark Wahlberg, I saw an interview with him the other day, wakes up at 4 a.m. Yeah. Okay? I'm not going to enjoy that. Even if I was Mark Wahlberg, I was a multimillionaire and famous, if I was waking up at 4 every day and doing 3 hours in the gym, like, that works for The Rock and for him, and I feel like that's, I don't think I'd be happy. Yeah. And once again, as we said earlier, the key to life is happiness, no matter what it is. Even if you want to just go sit in a cave and like draw on the wall, if that makes you happy, cool. If cave drawing is your thing, fucking do it. Yeah. Doesn't matter what your dad says, whether there's no money in it. Yeah. But the thing with Mark Wahlberg that I love, Marky Mark, is that, and I love that he has those 2 names, he's 2 different people. So at one point, when he was younger, he was like getting in trouble, going to jail, drinking on the weekends, sleeping until noon, being a D-bag, probably. Like, I don't think I would have liked meeting young Marky Mark in Boston. If you were in Dorchester, he probably he probably would have beat me up. I would have been like, this guy's a douche. And then you now fast forward to how successful, and he's so humble and nice and generous and in shape and all this stuff. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm watching Chaz and Jan, and I can't believe what Jana's achieving with a Netflix movie, you might be in your Marky Mark stage, and eventually you're going to be Mark Wahlberg. So there's
you don't have to be waking up at 4 a.m. right now. It also depends how old you are. If you're like 19 listening to this, you're going to be in an entirely different place than when you're 40. And so there is no right or wrong way to get there.
Yeah.
You just watched a segment of the show Chasms of the Mind. To see the full episode, click the link below.